Welcome to Book Chat at Tech and Lowell. We like to highlight books that we've found ourselves that just blew our mind, and I wanted to share my favorite book so far this year. And it's written by a first-time author, which makes it even more amazing. It's called Baking Cakes in Kigali by Gail Parkin, and it is a novel set in Rwanda in the year 2000, just 6 years after the genocide, where the Hutus killed almost 1 million Tutsis in a tribal massacre, basically, over 100 days. So this is 6 years later. The country is still recuperating. The main character is Angel, and Angel Tugaraza and her husband, Pius, have moved to Rwanda from Tanzania, and Pius works at the local university help as a fundraiser. Angel, as you can probably guess from the title, is a professional baker. She works out of her home. People come to her. She's recommended. She's already very, very locally famous for her exotic, colorful, creative cakes. So what happens is as each customer comes in, has a cup of tea with Angel, and starts talking about why they need the cake, their other stories spill out. Oh, just the tragedy. Everybody's touched by this. They've lost family members, entire families. Some relatives are in prison for murder and genocide, and they've lost children. They've lost track of family members who fled, and they're still looking. And on top of all that, AIDS is still ravaging the country, but they don't ever call it by its name. They just call it the virus because it's still a very taboo subject among Rwandans. So Angel is dealing with her own grief. Her 2 grown children have recently died and left her and her husband to raise their 5 young grandchildren in a 2-bedroom apartment. So she has to bake these cakes because she needs to raise these children. And Pius he's kind of in the background. I mean, they have a very good marriage, but strained obviously because they're both still grieving. So meanwhile, Angel is like the unofficial mayor of the community. People come to her, they tell her stories, and she doesn't share stories, but because she's a professional. But she goes out in the community and she nudges a little here, and she maybe drops a few coins here and puts an idea in someone's head here, and lots of those problems get resolved. And that's in very clever, wonderful ways. My favorite is a simple one where a woman comes in and she and her husband have had their first child, and it's a girl. So they're disappointed, but they still have to have a cake for the ceremony of the christening. So she says, we named her Good Enough because she's healthy. So meanwhile, and Angel's just like, yeah. Let's just say that by the time the ceremony is held and the cake is baked, that child's name is no longer good enough. So there's just these little strings she pulls. And so she's dealing with these people who are faced with horrendous tragedies. But here's the clever and just amazing thing about this book is it's really funny. And there's some funny stories in here. And there's some quirky stories. And it's all wrapped together. And that's why I like books. I like my drama with a little bit of relief, a little bit of humor, because that's what life is like. And the characters were really well fleshed out. You will see why Angel wants to help them, whether it's, to move a romance along or get somebody out of the country or just help with day-to-day problems. And she's doing all this in a country that's still clinging to tradition. So there's still bride prices, there's still female circumcision, and Angel and her friends and her clients find ways around this. Then she sees Angel's been to other countries, so she knows things are changing everywhere. So she just nudges it along, little bit by little bit, because she's really busy raising her 5 grandchildren and baking all these cakes. But she always makes time and she's very objective. She's a very objective observer. And they come up with these women in this country that speaks 4 languages. Number one, they have French, English, Swahili, and Kinyarwanda. So not everybody speaks all 4 languages, so you can imagine what's going on and people interpreting things in different ways. So Angel brings it all together. She's a fantastic character. This was the author's first book. She has written 2 more books about Angel and her family. I can't wait to get my hands on them. So, y'all, Baking Cakes in Kigali, Gail Parkin. Read it and laugh. Read it and weep. You got it all.